Miles Morales Spider-Man number 16 or Ultimate Spider-Man number 256. Saladin Ahmed does a fantastic job with this issue. Corey Smith does a fantastic job with this issue. And even the inker does a really good job. This book is so good. This book is fantastic. This is by far, for me, the best book of this series so far. That said, I didn't read the first couple issues, but this book brings some catharsis a little bit to a lot of the issues I've had with the book before, a lot of the long-running problems I've had with the book, mainly being that they've relentlessly teased me with allusions to the Ultimate Universe and its consequences on the 616 casts, such as Miles Morales and Aaron Davis. But a lot of that starts to actually get resolved finally in this issue, and we get just a really, really nice down-to-earth first half of the book. So basically, it feels like Ultimate Spider-Man. I felt like I was reading Ultimate Spider-Man written by Brian Michael Bendis, and the pencils are just absolutely terrific. Anyway, we get some really adorable banter with Miles and his parents about the new child, the new baby, Miles' new sister, and so Miles takes his sister, his newborn baby sister, out for a night on the town, and we can see that there are seemingly some 3D models employed, but it's not gratuitous, and it's subtle enough that it's not really noticeable, and I kind of question whether they are 3D models. And the pencil works transform it enough such that it doesn't really matter. This is what I'm talking about with 3D models. So a problem I've had with the previous artists in this book is their excessive use of 3D models. And it's excessive because you notice that they're there. It's basically the entire environment, and it's a little insulting. It means it's lazy, and it's a little insulting in that they're being paid the same page rate as many of the other artists who would be working on similar titles such as this, but they don't care enough to put in the effort that the other artists do in order to make the same amount of money. That's a little insulting to the trade. That's a little insulting, in my opinion, at least, to those hardworking artists who maybe don't employ the use of 3D models. But yeah, no, if they're used here, they're used really well, and I think they are used here, but it's such that the artwork is transformative enough that I don't mind at all. And in fact, it might even enhance it because look how clean that is. But this is like a really charming, really cute first half of the book, and it's a little frustrating in that you sort of have to you have to put your disbelief on hiatus a little bit. Look how beautiful that artwork is, by the way. That feels a little bit more like Chelsea. No, sorry, not Chelsea Peretti. Sarah Pacelli. Yeah, it feels like the woman who plays Gina in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But Miles Morales looks freaking fantastic. The sheen on the costume, very much Sarah Pacelli style, minus the eyes. But I love these eyes. I really, really do. I think they look really great. And I think it's a big step up from the artwork we were getting in the previous issues. I want to highlight just how good Miles looks. But you have to suspend your disbelief here just a little bit because Miles sort of webs the baby to himself to go and save this guy in the sewer. Because he hears a voice down there. Somebody's like stuck in the sewer. I believe that Miles wouldn't have done that. Miles would have just asked somebody to watch the child momentarily as he because there's like a whole community of Brooklyners just surrounding this manhole, and they're clearly like concerned, decent people. So I think Miles would have just left the child there momentarily as he crawled down outside of costume to save this person. Because there's no reason, like if he sort of shuffles his arms and legs down the side of the sewer grate, there's no reason for the public to believe that he's any sort of metahuman or human mutate or any such variation. But it's really cute because you get some banter with this guy. He's basically like an Instagrammer, and he's he gets stuck in the sewer because he's down there taking pictures for his social media, which I think is funny. And so Miles runs into a giant alligator, and this is clearly some sort of mutated creature. This is not a normal alligator, but it sort of plays on like an old New Yorkian legend of like the alligators in the sewer and so forth. But I just want to point out how great this artwork is. Again, it's really really good, and I really appreciate it. It's such a refreshing change from the artwork we've gotten in this series thus far. By the way, Sal from Comic Pop, there is more than one human being on the planet who wears purple pants, and he's a hipster. Take that. Validates Bruce Banner. Actually, this web looks a lot like Sarah Pichelli. She would draw that little like sort of loop in spurt at the beginning of her web lines as well. It's interesting. I wonder if it's intentionally harkening back to that. But yeah, now we get some like really adorable stuff with Miles and the baby, who was dubbed during the course of the mission Spider Baby. But yeah, that alligator comes out, and that's sort of like a rogue variable. There's no way Miles could have really accounted for that. But in a realistic scenario, I feel like Miles could have went down there without. I'm going to skip a couple pages for copyright purposes, but I feel like Miles could have gotten down there without changing into Spider-Man. So we get a little side story with Prowler where he sneaks into a place and steals a thing for a guy. And the guy is the 616 version of Miles Morales. Now, see, this is a 3D model, but it's not bad. Like, it's clearly heavily sketched over. But also, like, you get this beautiful background that can only be done with pencils, in a skillful set of pencils at that, in inking. So it's not at all a problem with the book. It's actually, it helps the book. You can spend more time making this look really, really pretty. And slightly less time with the interior. And I think the 3D model works with the interior better than it does with the mean streets of Brooklyn, because there's a lot of variability, there's a lot of character, there's a lot of stuff that isn't quite conformant about a city street, whereas a lush interior such as this obviously is going to be sleek and smooth. So anyway, Miles, that is to say, Ultimatum, brings Prowler to his place for a personal chat, simply because he wants to discuss the Ultimate Universe. So he shows him his mask from the 1610 universe, that is the Ultimate Universe, and he's sort of taken aback by this. He's sort of like getting strange memory resurgences, where he's not quite able to reconcile it with his life and his memories of the 616 continuity. So it's sort of messing with his head a little bit. And Ultimatum is he wants to talk about this universe of origin. He wants to investigate it because he himself, as you can tell by his various pieces of equipment, has been traveling to and fro from that continuity, from that universe. And finally, we get some acknowledgement of that universe, and we do see Ultimate Goblin in this, who is Norman Osborn, and it's a little weird that nobody seems to have like really acknowledged the fact that version of Norman Osborn is clearly out of place. And I'm not sure if that Norman Osborn is aware that he's out of place. He should be, but perhaps Ultimatum is just playing his cards close to his chest, and he actually went and retrieved that version of Norman from that reality. But nonetheless, we basically get an instance where he tells him that, like, yeah, basically the only two people I've found in this reality that match that energy signature from the 1610 reality is Miles Morales and Aaron Davis, the Prowler himself. So they play a game of chess, and he gasses him out, and that's where we leave off the issue. I think that's a really solid issue. I think that's a really solid cliffhanger for the next issue, and it's a vast improvement over the series thus far. And I've been enjoying this series, but this book here has been really excellent. This is by far my favorite issue of the series thus far. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that, because that's the plot thread that I personally have been most invested in since the beginning of the series, is figuring out what precisely is going on with the displacement of the characters from the 1610 continuity. Because I grew up reading Ultimate Spider-Man my whole life. It's my favorite comic of all time. I really love the Ultimate Universe. My goal is to have and own every single book in that universe and just read through them all. So I'm glad they're finally after a year, over a year of meandering. I think a year and a half it's been so far since the series has started of meandering. We're finally getting around to that plot line. We've been teased on several occasions, but we've never really gotten into it, and it seems like this is a new chapter where we finally get to explore that element. Um, One thing I don't really like about books, and a lot of things that turn me off to certain titles at Marvel and at DC, is the meandering. It's why I stopped reading the Tom King Batman. I am reading Batman again, by the way, and I think it's really good right now. But it's why I stopped reading Tom King's Batman. It's why I'm so frustrated with Nick Spencer about the freaking Kindred storyline. And it's why one of the reasons I've been frustrated with this series so far. It's because I've been reading for a year and a half. Um, and I've only barely scratched the surface of this plot element that I think most people who are reading the book are more interested in than a lot of these side stories. But that's, I mean, obviously that's conjecture, and I can't put an empirical value to that. Um, maybe I'll put a poll up on Twitter or on the Discord or something like that. But anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Thank you so much for watching, and oh, there's new subscribers at the top. If I remember to edit that. If not, sorry, it'll be in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later.